Motion made, seconded. Additions, corrections, comments. Like anything, all in favor? Oh,
Aye.
sorry, John. John?
So, Mike or Steve, on the third paragraph on the minutes, you're saying we're approving the minutes of the January 22nd meeting, but we're at the January 22nd
This
meeting.
is January
Oh.
15th.
Mine says
It
27.
would be December.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
If we can change that to December.
Okay,
Any other corrections? All in favor? Oh, carried. Bills, communication.
okay, so we have a bunch of bills this month. NYSEG, our usual monthly bill for Eagle Drive, $211.42. That one is paid automatically online. We have our monthly interest for the CCDC loan. It's $1,583.33. We'll have one more payment to go after this, and we'll be done with the interest, but then we'll also hold for the full loan. We have our monthly invoice from Mr. Miller for 166.66. Monthly invoice to me for February, $1,312.60. We got our first bill for Venable and McKee, which I think is for half of the agreed upon amount, which is $4,000. We have a bill from Highlander for the work they've been doing, $162,371.58. We have a couple of bills from Garden Cloud that are automatically deducted as they take care of our telecommunications and other similar things. I don't have a bill from CNS, so that's not really on there. And then we have a monthly bill from the QuickBooks Online, which is $48.60. We also have a list of government agencies that we owe pilot money to. Weedsport School District, Union Springs School District, Town of Ledyard, Town of Brutus, Moravia School District, Cayuga County, and Aurelius will all get checks for the recently billed pilots.
Excuse me, Katie, we don't have that list, right?
No, I did them sort of after the fact and was just writing them down. They are all on this.
Oh,
Your motion to approve the bills.
So moved.
There's a second. Motion made, seconded, discussion.
Mike, on the Highlander bill, has that been recommended by our engineer to take, have they seen that, they've recommended?
Signed off on.
Signed off?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, so recommended by them to pay, and later on in our schedule here, it's in your packet, I think we got tied up with their bill there is, they have an extension request. A lot of it has to do with the delivery of materials going through. I spoke with both Milk Plant as well as CNS about their extension request. Milk Plant feels that's fine based on their timeline to really get the facility operating this fall. Our project engineer over at CNS Company, Steve here, and said his biggest concern right now is getting an electrical set up before they pave over there. So he doesn't want to see the road get dug up and have that as an additional expense. So right now it's just kind of a matter of timing. So based on the extension request, because that deviates from our original project timeline with them, is to say yes or no. In my review of it, doesn't look like it's pushing us outside of anything that would disrupt our plans or that of the Milk Plant.
Katie, So you're saying all the bills were mailed out today, or all the checks to the municipalities were mailed out today?
They haven't been mailed because I needed the signatures, but they will be, yes,
I just-
they're right here.
Okay. And is there anybody that's not paid yet?
We don't have Grover yet. I missed them because they weren't on the list on the front, and I was using that summary, so I mailed that out a week ago. I talked to them today and they're working on it, so we should get it pretty soon.
All right, and I hate to ask this, but they will have to pay penalties. Am I correct on that?
But yeah, I don't,
They will. I pay
They
penalty.
will have to pay penalties because it was due the 30th or 31st.
but they weren't invoiced.
Okay. All right,
So
so,
every week we should have pilots with her, just make sure, if there's a due date, it doesn't matter if you send them a bill or not, they could not get a bill and still have to make a
Right.
payment, so.
They know it's coming.
Every pilot might have a little bit of a different due date or like a delinquency date, and we can compare notes with you. And
I'll go
help you
through the
generate those.
agreements.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that. Okay.
Further questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Executive Director updates.
All right, so what I have in the packet here is updates from last month. I'll provide the March update at our regular meeting next week. A lot of what's been going on over the last month and a half is we've been going through our financial audit and a lot of work between Katie and I to resolve all the questions and everything else going into that. Our auditors will be in next week to present the report to the board, as well as their findings with that. As most of you know, we must have the audit to complete our Paris reporting due by the 31st. Part of our meeting next week is I will provide the draft Paris reports for everybody, so that's going to be a great ton of paperwork for all of us to take a look at there. On the project side, we've had tons of discussions for interested parties for IDA benefits for something as small as sales and use tax exemption, all the way up to a very large potential pilot that we can talk about later in our meeting here today. We still have great interest in almost all of our existing land as it is right now. I've met with Steve Lynch. And we'll talk about this later as well, and sat down with a couple of commercial real estate firms about assisting us in our pursuits of new land for the IDA. Some other things we've had going on here as it relates to it is finishing up our conversion of files and everything else from CCIDA, and that's been the work with Guard Cloud. Our principal contact is Karen McManus, so he's helped set up our email system, our phone, and we did finally resolve getting all of our electronic files from CCIDA over the last month, so we now have all of that now, thankfully. Working on getting us some D&O insurance, a little bit of an issue with the group I've been working with there. Justin has provided some contacts that other IDAs have used, so I'll be reaching out to them for quotes for the board's consideration here. Some of the other things to go through as it is. And I don't know, Ben, this is something I'm going to throw the ball to you a little bit here. Is met with a group of stakeholders set up by Madam Chair Amy McNabb Coleman around economic development for Cayuga County. Steve Lynch was a part of it, as well as the mayor, some other representatives from the key groups within the facility there. One thing that everyone in that group agreed on was Cayuga County can and should have a one-stop for economic development there. So I did what I could to represent the IDA's interests and concerns for existing structures as it is right now, but it's really up to that group as to where it should be going moving forward there. So Mr. Vitale's interest, I believe you're now the IDA representative as part of that that group right now. I don't know if there was any update to be shared with the group here.
No specific updates other than, we're really waiting for the report to come back from Camoni. We've talked a lot about different options and things, but, we really don't want to make any decision until we see that report. And, so in other words, we don't want to jump the gun on anything, but, keeping an open mind to everything at this point.
So, and the reason I really bring that up is I know this board, is back kind of stuck, as we were looking to potentially take on a lot of those services through end of year or starting this year, so which has delayed other areas that the IDA needs to act on, and part of it is we do need AR shingle somewhere here. So part of the discussion I've had with Ray somewhat recently is to reach out to some members of CCIDA to see if we can sit down with them and to potentially sublease some of the upstairs, since all of our existing files are all there. And also to go through some other issues and just break bread with CCIDA as it is right now, and smooth over any standing issues there. So we'll try to get that set up over the next week or so here. So that's the big thing on that front there. Can I help answer any questions?
Insurance, I thought we
All of our-
fall under the county.
Yes, so we have all of that through the county, but it's not something we have directly, and based on, really Justin's recommendation here of how other IDAs that I've observed personally have D&O insurance directly themselves. So it provides greater protection for directors and officers.
And why are you recommending the rather than, is there?
Well, one example, historically, the IDA has utilized the county for all insurance coverage. D&O, casualty liability, we have the issue with the coverage, just to use an example. It's an IDA asset, it's IDA owned, we had an issue with drainage. And it triggered the carrier picking up, assigning counsel and coverage at the county level. So all of a sudden, we had to go over and deal with the county's carrier, I think it was 9 year at the time. Just having our own policies in-house, we kind of able to manage our affairs a little bit better without pulling in the legislature or county administration. We have good partners across the street, obviously, but just being a little autonomous might be helpful. And D&O picks up coverage for you directly without having to rely on the counties to pick up. So that was the general basis for picking up a policy for yourself, but not too expensive. And we can.
Yeah, it will depend on cost.
It's just all cost driven, yeah, and you could absorb and market, liability, casualty insurance we've never had our own insurance on the industrial park. Been owned for 30 years, and the only issue was the drainage thing that came up along the way, so we're kind of lucky in that regard. I mean, any kind of issue could have come up, someone working in a ditch or on a construction site. Yeah, someone could trip and fall.
And that's what really kicked off going into that was the culvert issue and everything else. So it was really just picking up from that, and it was a bit of a tangled mess dealing with the county and nightmare there. It was working its way through the county over us.
Then when it's over, threatened the sewage too.
Yeah. It's getting a little tangled. Autonomy, I think, was mainly the primary reason.
But up to the board, whether or not you really want to pick that up, moving on, what I'm doing at the very least is gathering quotes.
Yeah, it'll be, it's just a cost question, I would assume.
Anything else that you want to answer?
Thank you. Treasurer's report.
Okay, you've got the balance sheet and the profit loss for this year. Obviously, the profit loss, we haven't brought anything new in the last 2 months, but we have money in the bank, as you can see from the balance sheet. We've still got the money market at Cuba Lakes that's going strong. And I'm looking to see what the interest has been so far this year. I'm not seeing it, but we've been averaging about a couple $1,000s a month on interest on that, so.
So Katie, it looks like we brought in the expenses, but we didn't bring in the income.
I don't have, there wasn't much in the way of income this month, although there was.
But we would have had to, I think, maybe the gas lease is only $40, but,
It is,
all right, so the interest should be around
it
2,000.
should be more, and I
4,000.
I reconciled, so I don't know why that's not showing up, I'll have to.
And then the land rental has gotta be more than $3.
Well, we got a check for $3 from GPSS, and it said it was for rental, and that's all the information I had on it. That's the only thing. We got a check from Mr. Patterson, but that was back in December, so that went on last year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
What's the GPS on?
it's a thing, 12 Corners Road or,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, where they had their pilot should be in the system as well. Is that being built out?
their GSTV
Right.
system, yeah.
Is that just once a year? Is it September or I only have.
No, they're not in on September. They were billed, I think, just once a year, and it was in January.
Okay. Oh, yeah, they're here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They may be reading the lease back agreement, sending the $1 rent that no one ever sends us. That may explain the $3 that they're.
Yeah, I don't know.
3 years of $1 rent, so.
Check arrived and I said, okay, okay.
Give yourself most of a cup of coffee. at this
Yeah.
point.
so the interest is missing for the money
Yeah.
market.
And I don't know why.
Yeah, because I think we continue to struggle with that. And then on the raw bill, I got an answer. Okay, so and you said you have a number for how much interest we got last?
I could, well, it's, yeah, I put it into QuickBooks, so I don't know why it's not coming out, but I can send you that number.
Okay,
And I'll have to figure out, I don't know if the number, the account number that's in the reconciliation piece is in an account number that's coming out on our thing or something. I'll have to check that out, because that doesn't make sense.
yeah, okay. Yeah, that's all I have, Katie. I'm concerned about the income, about all the income not coming up.
Yeah, I'll check the interest. We didn't really have a whole lot else in the last 2 months. I mean, the pilot money that came in goes onto the balance sheet, not in profit loss, so.
Do you want to table it till next week, John?
Yeah, we can do that.
I'll do new, figure out the
Good idea.
interest and do new reports for next week.
Let's put that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We already did the pilot billing in the first one.
Right.
Any more questions on that budget? Any questions? Unfinished business, update on the sewer line.
Yeah, so I went over, where we are currently, the Highlander on that. We're otherwise in a pretty good spot. The EDA has been processing our reimbursements in a timely fashion, so this latest bill, we'll be submitting, within the next day here, over to them. And if, the board can, see a little vote here, so related to the project extension request, so I can.
well, what was the end date they set then, or,
Still August,
and they include the generator?
yes. So that's the furthest thing right now.
Right.
Let's see where it is, because I know the extension line is in here.
Well, generator is August and then the other two are June and July.
Mhm.
Generator was partly our fault or we,
There's some shared like
Well,
going around for that one.
for as
But
long as it took and then we ordered it, so the generator, I can't sign any real blame for that.
No,
So I have no issue with extending that, there's nothing we can do, it's just not gonna show up.
Right.
The other two or four,
no, right,
Mhm.
did they say what the delay was?
Yeah, part of it here is the installation of pump panels just recently delivered. So items 1 and 4, so item 1, installation of pump panel. And number 4, surface restoration around the pump station. This will be completed when asphalt is available. They have that scheduled for June. Items 2 and 5, which is connection of electrical service to the site, we divided by NICEAG. And pump station startup is for July right there. One of the issues we had on the NICEAG portion there is where we originally said we're gonna connect the power. We got that info from NICEAG and it had to go across the street. So that not only caused a delay, it increased our costs to get it across. the
We had to do a
street.
street cut or
Mhm.
we had to do a pavement cut to the very line.
So that was unexpected. I spoke with Mark Chambers about that back in the fall. So it came up out of nowhere and his due diligence said that was just bad info from NICEAG. On that.
And you said you're gonna plan.
I specifically spoke with Brian Linney about this letter. Because it states in here that they spoke with Northland Associates and, you know, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, I spoke with Brian Linney and he said. You know, he spoke with them as well and said this all appears to be. You know, right.
Right, but it will not impact it because I read somewhere they won't go live until later
Yes,
in the year.
yes, so I did confirm that with Brian. He said he would let me know if anything changes, but otherwise, that should not be an issue.
Need a vote.
I'll make a motion to extend.
second,
Motion made, extend the update on sewer line request.
Dated 3/1/24.
Yes. Discussion, question.
so is there any lead-in consideration for extending the date?
No, the penalty for that is, you know, if they're breaking with the timeline, they get fined every single day that's going beyond the original. Timeline, so that's one thing I will ask them for is based on our original timeline. Need to update when every one of these things are, so they have it spelled out high level right here, but we do have, you know, some smaller items in place.
Further question? All in favor?
I had a question, right? I
Oh,
jumped.
I'm sorry.
I got a couple questions as to, who from CNS is representing them now? And what's the total balance that due to Highlander after this?
So we have
It
Steve
doesn't have
here.
to be exact, but rough number. What would
You
be?
mean from our project balance?
Yeah,
But for the total project, so I'll have to follow up with you on that, so I don't have the prior figures of what we paid to date, including today's bill from the total project budget. That we've expended. So I'll make a note of that.
There is a holdback.
We do have, I think it's 5%
The retention there.
retention,
Same
and our current
last six. This would have the. Rating after, it's about 2.250.
They have a rolling balance on the draw.
that's good, that's all I wanted.
So we had Mark Chambers historically, he retired at the end of last year. Our new replacement is Steve Guerin. I haven't had as much contact with him. Mark was in very good contact with me throughout the duration of this project, so I think there's been some ramp up on Steve's part. I am going to see if he can come in person for our meeting next week to meet.
What was the last name again?
Murin, Mearon.
Thank you.
Mike, do you know what the daily fines are for this?
Going past it, I know it's at least 50 a day, if not more.
50.
$50 per day. And I think there's actually a sliding schedule that says here's per day and per week, it goes up and up.
They were supposed to be done with this in March, correct?
Substantially done in March of this year and then completely done in August.
Okay,
And that way,
so this falls in as far as done in August substantially. Last number was what, 82%,
72.
72%. That'd be substantial.
It's a passing grade for being high school.
Substantially more. Just want to know exactly.
How would you consider?
That's what I'm asking the attorney.
I mean, there would have been a figure in the contract and then the delay penalties, I guess, would accrue as long as we define where the delays hit.
Well, that's
If
what
we're just
they're,
counting the generator outside of that, then.
I think that's the big reason for their ask is knowing if we start going past these deadlines, we're gonna start getting charged every single day.
Yeah, it's just more of a holdback, it's just an offset on the contract, you know, they earn less and less based on time.
Now, is there any further questions? All in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? Carried. Water line update.
So this item in particular, lots of discussion on, very good discussion with Justin Reck and Tim Carpenter last week, but I think the substantial portion of this is something for executive session. To be honest, so there's perhaps a motion going into executive session to discuss.
Well, it's not the new business off.
All right.
Is it? What's the pipeline update?
So project pipeline updates, there's kind of a handful of updates. There's one or two that could also be discussed in executive session, but general ones I can share here are two Sunny Solar projects from last year. If you recall, in the towns of Scipio and Ledger, that we did not close, have heard back from our contact there. They're delaying pushing this back out a little bit further this year, but they are still planning to move forward on the project and close hopefully summer. I don't know if your deal adjusted has changed on that, but yeah, so they're on my calendar to touch base early part of next month. The sticking point we had with them was around labor requirements, so we'll still see if we're able to meet on that part there. Going over to the IDA park, we have interest in lots 9, 10, and 11, lots 9 and 10. Or is where no plant has expressed interest in that. We had interest from Grover / Dankovic for lot 11. They have rescinded their interest over the last day here. If we're able to help them out elsewhere or anything else, we could express as much to them, but just based on the costs of their project as well as the updated value of the land, they do not feel they could go forward. So becomes an open parcel for us. We have plenty of interest for that lot as it is right now. Part of it is going to be assessing what's the highest and best use, depending on who's inquiring around that. Going across the street, I've had good conversations with new owners as well as interest in that land as well. We'll probably pick that conversation up in a couple of months, but right now, no substantial updates come for us. We do have a sales and use tax applicant probably get the application over the next day or so here, so I
It
might.
hit my email, Sue.
Oh, it did? Okay. So I'll actually have that probably on the agenda for next week, for the board's consideration there. We do have a much larger project, I'm glad Justin's here because that's gonna require some substantial time from the IDA to invest in it, and it's renewable energy, so I'll leave it at that, and we can discuss more during the executive session. So, any questions from those updates on our pipeline right now? We have a robust pipeline of activity going right now, so we're gonna have a very busy year. These are all good things.
New business.
Okay. So officer nominations for the vice chair and committee assignments, with Mr. Marshall and Mr. Lattimore leaving. Mr. Lattimore was our vice chair. And Mr. Lattimore and Marshall both sat on our governance committee and our audit committee. We must fill, those positions, particularly the audit committee, because I have to meet next week before our auditors come in to review with the auditors and make a recommendation to the board. So, this is now in the board's hand as to who you would like to nominate for the vice chair position, as well as filling up our committee assignments once more.
I nominate Gina, vice president, or vice chair.
That's very kind of you, but I would nominate you, vice chair.
Yeah, the secretary, I'll see if he's willing to.
Yeah, it's sitting protected. Otherwise,
That's one of my.
Second.
Yeah, I second John's.
Any other nominee? All in favor of Gina? Aye.
I think he played.
Thank you for volunteering.
You're really dead.
like the nose game. they-
John, how about you?
You know, it's a monster bag, great. He's on the-
Benny, you want to be on the other?
Ben, audit?
I can, but I won't be here next week, then we'll be out of town.
That's good.
So that would, our current composition of the audit committee is John and Ray, so we just leave one person. If it is you, Ben, or
Well, I think I would, but just so people know that I won't be here next week.
it's fine.
Okay, we accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any other committee?
Yes, Paul sat on the governance committee with Andy and Gina. So we need an assignment for that committee as well.
Donna?
I second.
Yep. All in favor? Thank you, Donna.
That's a good one to be on.
Is it?
Yeah.
Would you
We
like
meet
that?
once a year.
Yes.
Our February meeting, so we're gonna have to reschedule that one. So that takes care of that part of new business there. Next item, project application for financial assistance form. So this is at the end of your packet here. This is our client application package. The general updates to what's inserted here is there's been a ton of new requirements coming in from the state around project guidelines, WMBE requirements, as well as services labeled, as well as a whole new section around solar projects as well. So it's made our application package that much bigger. And one of the other components for the board's consideration is a yearly administrative fee for our private clients. So what we have penciled in right now is $1,500. So it adds a little bit of predictable revenue for the IDA. And this wouldn't be for any existing clients, it would be all for new clients of the IDA.
So wait a minute, so it's an additional fee?
Yes, so it would be paid yearly when we're invoicing them for pilot payments, asking them for, parish reporting, and we would just get a check for that as well, because there is quite a bit of work that
Yeah,
goes
makes
into all
sense.
that reporting every year. So those are all the general updates there unless, if you had any particular questions around that, the big one for approval from the board is whether or not to add that, yearly administrative fee. Everything else is just part of the application.
And this is the new application.
So it's same as before. I think the last time it was updated was 2021.
It's not, it's not too long ago, I remember doing it.
Did you have those, in the proposal you sent to us, the amounts? I thought I saw 1,500 in here somewhere.
It is, where
Just goes in your.
Yeah, page 2 of the application, it's in your packet. The second page near the top has a fee schedule. Dictating how much needs to be paid when an application is submitted. And then an annual post-closing fee, and just for context, and many of our IDAs, if not all of them, now have something between $500 and $2,000 a year. That's paid by each active project to help pay for really the work that Katie and Mike do to monitor their project, do the job reporting, enter the state system data, and make sure that all the contracts are in order, so.
Is that a standard amount that you see?
Yeah, somewhere between 500 and 2,000, and we're kind of falling right into that range, and it helps the IDA have predictable annual revenue, as Mike pointed out. You're a good example of this. It's kind of feast or famine. You'll have situations where you have like a Cayuga Milk project comes in with a large amount of fees, and you look like you have 20 years of running space ahead of you, but you could have a water project come up or buy some more land, or you deplete your fund balance, and then you're kind of running out of subsistence for a little while. So what these do is help the IDA just monitor those ongoing contracts without any concern for the administrative costs. The applicants who are getting the benefits kind of pick up the costs of administrative.
So it's basically $1,000 or 1,500. It's not based on the total sum of the
new project, right? Because the reporting is the same for all those clients going into the system every year. It's more the upfront work that we will have a larger or smaller fee depending on the project size.
Yeah, really, there's no small projects if you have what, $500,000 minimum.
Yeah, well, these are for pilots only.
Generally, yeah, they're recurring pilot projects. The one we're talking about that'll be coming in from down in Aurora, associated with the ends of Aurora, will be just a sales tax transaction. So there'll be maybe 1 year reporting through construction.
That would be my concern, because I might scale off small projects, but we've kind of eliminated.
$1,000 project, we can afford it.
Yeah,
And we get a percent of the project.
yes.
Percent is only at the beginning.
Right, it's up front, yeah.
No, it seems fair, and even if we're a little high, as the years go on, that'll.
It won't be high next year.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Inflation seems like it's everywhere.
Yeah. Good job updating this.
So I'll make a motion to accept the addition of the fee onto our financial assistance act.
Yeah, second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Hello, site acquisition in your contract.
Gotcha. So site acquisition is part of the reason Mr. Lynch is here. So as the majority of this board knows, we are effectively running out of land in the IDA part. I've been working with Steve in his office and a couple of other members from the community to identify parcels that would make sense for the IDA to purchase here. So of course, of this last year and working with Steve and his team, and I had shared with this board kind of corridor of what we felt were the best areas for the IDA to be seeking out new land, which has generally been north of Auburn here. With a lot of contact to a number of these individuals, there's been very little feedback, and one the two potentials we've had come up. The owner passed away, which has tied that one up in court, and the other one right now is waiting to see what happens within the market. So we don't know dollar wise where that's going to go. So it's been something of hitting a brick wall here. So what Steve and I have done over the last week is we've sat down with a couple of commercial real estate firms to see how they might be able to assist the IDA in identifying and ultimately acquiring some land here moving forward. So going into our meeting next week, we'll hopefully have proposals from both of the firms that we've spoken with so far, not just marketing material, but as well as his kind of costs to do this sort of work here. And some of the good feedback, is where I would, ask Steve to make sure I'm not, talking out of school here, is other IDAs employ firms just like this to assist, because the IDA itself, this is not our specialization.
Right.
With what we're doing here. And that's by and large it there. So that's really to come before the board hopefully next week again to see what these options are, and hopefully leverage, depending on what firm to go with, their connections as well within the industry here. So both firms we've spoken with have good contact with Mike Ron and related companies as well. So I think that would also be a great value use. Steve, anything to add to that? Where
I think that's it. See what they bring next week.
thoughts from the board here first. So before I put anything in front of you to consider for next week, is this something that you feel is in the best interest of the IDA, or continue down a different road?
Makes sense to me because we haven't gotten anywhere building it on our own.
Well, I don't think we really appointed anyone specifically to do it either.
I've felt that's been my job to do that there, but I won't lie to you, I've struck out so far.
Well, and we've also been really busy.
Well, and we've got a lot of requirements. We're not looking at buying 10 acres. We need utilities, so it's not just an easy task either.
And this is where I think that I give a lot of credit to Steve and his team is the corridor map we identified was all based on acreage of a certain amount, location, based on major highway, proximity to water, sewer, power, all of those things that we need. And hopefully at a price we can afford moving forward as well. So if we are successful in optioning some land and then applying to the state or federal government for a couple of grants to make it a little more attractive, that's the goal here.
Now I'll tell you, there's not a lot of land available. I can tell you, 'cause personally speaking, we're always looking for land. It's jumped.
Yeah.
And that's
You got a lot of pressure from the solar companies now.
Yeah, it's right up. Even, out in our town, you can't even find a plot of land to build a house on.
The little plot next door, probably a little 2 acres, $60,000. All it's got is water. Yeah, I've heard there's 4 people that's already looked at it. That shocked me. How about your contract?
so that's moving on.
Put that up, or you want to talk about it?
I can touch on it right now. You could probably save the majority of it for executive session there, but my contract runs out in a month here. So we've got to come to an arrangement, hopefully today, and try to figure this out. So I'll leave it at that.
Motion to go into executive session for something.
We're dealing with real estate matters and personnel matters.
John, all in favor?
I
Oh, we're in.
the board want Carl to stay in for the water discussion or not?
Mike?